Welcome back to the Mobius Mind. I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
Last time we kind of dipped our toes into the intuitive loops that shape our thinking. But today, oh man, today we are going deep into the core architecture of the mind itself, according to the author Roland Janssen von Rensburg. He calls it the Mobius architecture of consciousness. And just a fair warning, this gets weird, but like in the best possible way.
Whoa. Okay, let's just pause on this for a second. This right here is the central claim of the whole theory. Roland is saying that the very space where your consciousness happens, where you think and feel and experience being you, is shaped like this. And he's not being poetic, right? That's the key. This is not a metaphor. He's arguing it's the literal geometry of your mind.
So what even is a non-orientable surface? Well, the classic example is to imagine an ant walking along this strip. It just keeps walking forward in what feels like a perfectly straight line. But when it gets all the way around, it ends up back where it started, but on the other side of the surface without ever crossing an edge. And that's the mind-bending part. On this shape, inside and outside, or as he puts it, self and world, are fundamentally connected on one single continuous surface.
So why does this strange shape matter so much? I mean, what does it actually do? Well, according to Roland, this is the secret to self-awareness. Think about it. How can any system observe the world and then somehow turn that focus back on itself to become aware that it's observing? He argues this unique geometry is exactly what makes that possible. It creates this natural, built-in loop from looking out to looking in. This really breaks down the implications perfectly. So first, cognition isn't a bunch of separate modules in the brain, like little boxes for memory and emotion. It's one continuous process happening on this surface. And the second point, this one is absolutely wild. The self that's looking out at the world aren't two different things. They're just opposite directions on the same continuous loop. Awareness itself just emerges from traveling along that loop.
Okay, so if the mind is this Mobius stage, then what's actually happening on it? Like, what are the tools it uses to, think? That's exactly it. Roland calls them the cognitive operators. You can think of it as the mind's operating system. It's the set of core functions that run on this totally unique hardware.
And there are exactly 10 of them. Now wait, are these like physical parts of the brain? Like, can you find a curiosity spot in an MRI scan? No, and that is such a crucial point to get. These aren't physical modules. They're transformations or actions or functions that happen on that single, unified cognitive surface we've been talking about.
Yeah, let's make this real. Imagine you're just walking through a forest. You see a flash of red out of the corner of your eye. Okay, so that's the information operator detecting a contrast, a change in the data. Instantly, the curiosity operator kicks in. What was that? It's like this unresolved gap that pulls your attention, right? And then the perception operator makes a quick best guess based on your memory. It's probably a berry. And finally, the emotion operator just colors that whole tiny experience with a feeling of interest. And it all just happens seamlessly, in an instant.
And let's just double-click on curiosity for a second, because I absolutely love how Roland Janssen van Rensburg models this. He says it's basically the engine of action. Just think of it as that tension you feel between what your brain predicts is out there and what's actually happening. That tension, that little gap in your understanding, is what literally pulls your attention and makes you want to explore and figure stuff out. So here is the full toolkit. We've got information, curiosity, perception, and emotion. Okay, we just saw those in action. But what about all the others? Don't leave us hanging. All right, lightning round. Consciousness is the operator that pulls everything together into one unified experience. Identity gives you that stable, continuous sense of you over time. Choice is what lets you deliberate and act. The observer is the still point that witnesses everything. Mobius inversion is that crazy flip from the outer world to your inner self. And imagination lets us simulate realities that aren't even here. And boom, together, they create you.
Hang on, go back. You said the observer is the still point that witnesses it all. That sounds really different from the others. It sounds profound. It really is. I mean, if all these other functions are constantly changing and predicting and feeling, what is the you that's experiencing all of it? What's the anchor in the storm of your own mind?
This is what Roland calls the observer. It's not something you do. It's a function of the architecture itself. It's the silent witness. The calm, fixed point of reference in the constant churn of your thoughts and feelings. It's the part of you that just notices.
This quote gets right to the heart of it. I mean, think about it. How do you know you're on a moving train? Because you see the station platform which is standing still. You need that stable reference point.
The observer isn't a little person in your head. Roland argues it's the mathematical origin point, the unmoving axis around which all of your mental life turns. It doesn't act, it just is.
And that is so closely tied to the next operator, your identity. So if the observer is this abstract, still point of reference, what's identity? Identity is the familiar shape, the consistent pattern, that we call me. So the observer is the point, but identity is the whole pattern that forms around it? Exactly. You got it.
So the technical term he uses is a stable attractor state. Okay, what does that even mean? The best analogy is a valley or a riverbed. Water will always naturally flow into it because it's the lowest, most stable path. In the same way, your thoughts and memories and emotions have carved these really well-worn paths that they just tend to follow. That path, that stable pattern, is your identity. It's the shape your mind just prefers to be in.
Okay, get ready for this quote from Roland. But first, when he says manifold, that's just the technical term for the entire Mobius surface, the whole cognitive stage. Okay, got it? So he says, identity does not sit on the manifold, it is the preferred configuration of the manifold itself. Whoa. Hang on, say that again? So, my identity isn't a thing inside my mind, it is the preferred shape of my mind, carved out by all my experiences. Yes, that's it. That's wild.
It's basically your cognitive home base. That's the perfect way to put it. No matter how far your thoughts might wander, into anxiety or joy or planning your day, they're always kind of gently pulled back toward that stable, familiar pattern of you. Now, a huge theory like this doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And what's so elegant about Roland Janssen van Rensburg's work is how it connects to and actually completes one of the most important theories in neuroscience today, right? You're talking about predictive processing.
Exactly. So predictive processing says the brain is basically a prediction machine, constantly guessing what will happen next and then updating itself based on any errors. It's an incredible theory, but it's always had this one huge missing piece. Who or what is doing the predicting? It's like having this brilliant puzzle piece, but not knowing what the final picture is even supposed to look like. The Mobius mind provides that answer. It provides the frame for the puzzle. It gives us the I, the stable identity, the global structure that hosts that whole process. They fit together perfectly.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. The Mobius architecture isn't trying to replace theories like predictive processing. It's providing the larger context, the global topology, that finally lets us account for the really big questions, like where does self-awareness come from, and what does it feel like to be a unified self that other theories have always kind of struggled with.
And this all leads to a final, staggering thought. If consciousness isn't some ghost in the machine, but an actual geometric structure, a shape the universe can take when conditions are right, does that structure last forever?
And that is exactly where we are going next time. We're going to explore what happens when this incredible architecture of the mind meets the architecture of the cosmos itself. Believe me, you are not going to want to miss this one. It's going to be an epic conclusion to this part of the journey.